Hello, Durham Region, and welcome back to our July 2022 market update for Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa. I hope that your August is great so far. I hope you have an amazing month leading back into September in the school year and the fall and all that good stuff. It's going to be more of the same as what we've seen the last few months going back to February in Durham Region real estate, but I want to take you through what is happening with prices, listings, sales activity, all that good stuff. So please stick with me on the other side of this for some more info. In an effort to shorten this video up just a bit, I'm going to take us through the median sale prices for each of the different home types that we look at. Then I'm going to take us through just some detached stats for what sales are doing, what listings are doing, suspensions and terminations. But before we get there, please quickly pause the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss this, so I can get it to more people like you who are enjoying this weekly updates for Durham Region actually. Just the straight information as to exactly what is happening with no fluff attached. Okay, so as promised, right into things, and we are looking at Durham detached median sale prices, and this is for each month. So you see, going back to the beginning of last year, we all kind of know what happened leading into 2022, and then the drop off that we have seen since then. I have this month's median prices. So again, thumbnail, this is your answer. Our median prices in Whitby were both, Ajax and Whitby were both $1,050,000. Whereas in Pickering, it is down to 1.11 million and Oshawa down to 780,000. And you can see compared to the month before, I think something that's interesting that this will illustrate for people is, 1 month does not make a trend. So yes, we saw Pickering from May to June have a bit of an increase and then a drop off again. Same thing as in Whitby. And we're seeing the same thing in Ajax this month. This is not a trend though, people. The trend is what is happening in the grand scheme of things. Clearly a downward trend. When you watch my weekly updates that I do, and we have our kind of 5-week rolling averages, those are trends, and all of those are trending downward. So on this next screen, I'm showing you what has happened from the peak and where we're at compared to last year, because a couple of these markets have broken through into the red, meaning that year over year, our median sale prices are down in 2 of our markets. So Pickering a year ago was 1.18 million. It's now down to 1.11, and from the peak we are down 27.8%. Ajax and Whitby are still up year over year, but from the peaks we're down 27.3 and 30% respectively. And then Oshawa, we are down from last year and also down big time from the peak, 32.9%. So prices are seriously cooling off right across these 4 towns in Durham Region. What about on the townhome side? Much the same, a kind of a fake little bounce back, let's call it, from Oshawa. It's up just $7,500 from last month for towns. Everything else is trending downwards though. And from the peak, we are seeing the same thing. We're down anywhere from 25% in Oshawa, 24% in Ajax to 26% in Pickering. All of these markets, with the exception of Ajax, are still up from where they were last year. Ajax just holding steady at $820,000. Onto our semis very quickly, and you'll see a lot more fluctuation here, especially in the Whitby market where, it's very few sales happen on a monthly basis. Oshawa is kind of the trend that you want to watch because they do have the most semi-detached sales on any given time. So I'd say the trend for Durham Region is following what Oshawa is doing right here. Everybody being down month over month with the exception of these kind of little rallies that we saw, a 1 month rally in Whitby and then the last couple months in Pickering where prices are up a little bit, but from the peaks, we are still seeing the same thing. So semis as a whole, we are up in each region from July 2021 still to July 2022. But that 25 to 30% dip in prices from the peak holds true for semi-detached homes in Durham as well. We will wrap things up with our condo market where, again, this blue line being Pickering and this black line being Oshawa are the 2 biggest kind of condo markets, the biggest movers. Everybody is trending downwards. I'll say it one more time. A little uptick in sale price from 1 month to the next is not a trend. From a year ago, everybody is still up, but from the peak, we are down anywhere from 11.5% in Ajax to 26.7% in Oshawa on the condo side. We are expecting these prices to keep dipping as rates keep increasing through the rest of the year until that switch happens, when rates level out, when rates maybe start to come down. We'll see what's happening with employment at that time. So many factors are going to be affecting the price of condos and freehold properties. It's more than just a simple supply and demand equation. So that's our median sales recap. From here, I want to get into just what is happening on the sales side, the listing side, the termination side. And I'm just going to illustrate this using the detached markets across all 4 towns. So let's hop right into that as well. So here we have it, our Durham detached sales for Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa. And you can see that each segment is down in sales from the month prior. We had seen Pickering kind of pick up through May and June relative to April, but they have kind of continued that downward trend, whereas everybody else is down pretty significantly from the peak in sales, which happened back in March. And year to date, this is where we stand across all the regions. So Whitby down 28% in sales volume, Oshawa down 30%, and Ajax and Pickering both down about 31.5%, just 0.1% on either side of that. A little bit of a different pattern for listings. So sales, it's been more of a definite downward trend earlier, I would say. You can see that listings are trending downwards now, but listings are actually increasing month over month in Pickering up until July. You can see Oshawa had a bit of a bounce back in May as well, whereas Ajax and Whitby are both trending downwards, and they have been really since, let's call it April, when listings peaked there. If you're new to the channel, these numbers may be a surprise, but if you've been watching for a little bit, no surprises here, is that our year-to-date listing numbers stack up a little more favorably to 2021. When I say favorably, I mean they're similar to what we saw in 2021. The difference is a lot more of these are relisted properties that are being counted as new listings as well. You're seeing a lot less relists, terminations and relists back in 2021. So the fact that Whitby is up 6.6% in a couple slides, I'm going to show you exactly why this number is a little inflated. But, Oshawa is right around where it was last year at this time, and Ajax and Pickering are both down about 3% from where we were in 2021 at the end of July. This is slide number 1 to show you, to kind of give an explanation as to why those new listing numbers are inflated. And this is our suspended and terminated listings year to date. So in 2021, you can just see the massive difference, like 63% increase in terminations and suspensions in Ajax this year to date, and 95% in Whitby. So this is just telling me again that sellers' expectations are still stuck back in February, March. I'll say it, if you're just out there to test the market, to try and sell your house to see, what can I get? Can I get those January, February, March numbers? It's not a good time to be doing that. And here's just a little bit better explanation of this relist share number. So this is a report that Toronto Real Estate Board puts out every single month. And the relist share, it's just how many of these new listings were actually relist. So for all of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, 27.7% of listings in July were actually relisted properties. Whereas in Durham Region, that number was actually 31.3%, so pulling that average up. And in the markets that we look at Whitby, 35.3% of new listings were actually relists. In Oshawa, 30.3% of them. Pickering, 29.8%, and Ajax, 28.6%. And this takes me just to quickly this comment that I got on a video from last week, asking for the 2019 year-to-date numbers as well. When I talked about 2019, it was trying to compare what a normal sales cycle looks like throughout the year, and 2019 was really the last normal sales year we had. 2017, foreign buyers tax was introduced. Sales fell off a cliff really around April 2017. 2018 was still a wonky year because of that. 2019 got back to normal, and then 2020 with the pandemic. So I'm working on a video now, and hit the like button if you like this idea. Leave me a comment below to let me know if you will be tuning in. Just comparing Durham Region in 2019 versus what we are seeing now, because 2021 was a crazy year on all sorts of levels. Like, it was super cheap to borrow money to buy houses. It was driving prices up. Sales were happening at paces we had never seen before. We're already projecting to be down in sales volume this year. Saw charts today. Some people projecting 35 to 38% in the total number of sales happening this year across the entire board versus last year. So let's just compare what we're going through this year to what a kind of normal year looked like back in 2019. That's just something I'm working on for everybody. We will wrap things up with our showings and offer activity. From June to July, we saw an uptick in showings per new listing in Pickering and Whitby. That's reflected on this chart here. Dip in Ajax and Oshawa kind of held the same showings per new listing. In terms of offers, Whitby and Oshawa kind of stayed on the same levels, whereas we saw a bit of a decrease in offer activity in Ajax and in Pickering from month to month. And what does it look like right now for showings per offer? How many showings do you need to have on your property to get an offer? Looking way back to where we were at, in Whitby, it was only taking about 8 showings to get an offer in January. Oshawa, Ajax, and Pickering were having just, 11, 12. Now, Pickering, it's taking you about 22 and a half, 23 groups to get an offer on your property. Whitby and Ajax are both clocking in at 18.38 groups through to get an offer on your property. And Oshawa is at around 14.9, 15 to get an offer on a property in Oshawa. I really want you to use all these numbers if you're about to enter the market on either the selling or the buying side. I linked a short up here for you, just kind of comparing where prices across the entire GTA are at relative to historical median sales prices. So check that out. It's not as easy as using comparables from 2 months ago, similar as it was on the way up. Like when prices were on the way up, you could not look at comparables from a month before because prices were increasing at such a rapid rate. They're now decreasing at such a rapid rate that you need to either be using sales from that week, you're using properties that aren't quite as comparable to yours to make comparisons. But if you do want to find some comparables, you have to start looking about a year's back at this point, maybe even a little bit further back, because we want to future price our properties to attract buyers to get a quick sale. On the way up, maybe the first offer wouldn't have been the best. Maybe you would have gotten something better on offer night, but on the way down with prices, that first offer might be the best one you get. So you really need to be considering very strongly, is this something we can negotiate with, make it a little bit sweeter for ourselves, but more than likely that first offer you're getting is probably the best you are going to see. If you have stuck with me this long, please once again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, send it to a friend, turn those notifications on, all that good stuff. I'll be back in a month with another monthly recap, but check in next week to see how our 5-week trends are performing right across the Durham region. And as always, let me know in the comments below. First off, what do you think of this video? Second, what are you looking for content-wise going forward? I've got some ideas, things that I'm working on, like I said, comparing back to 2019, but I want to provide as much value to you as possible. So please enjoy this last month of summer vacation before kids are back in school or back to work or whatever that looks like. Stay cool, stay safe, and until next time, cheers.